and welcome to the Passenger Seat Podcast, a podcast designed to fill your passenger seat with chat about classic cars, all recorded from my 1968 Morris Minor Peggy. I'm Becca, and today we're driving back from the MMOC Picnic at Kelmarsh Hall. It's our first club event, and we're going to kind of talk about and review and reflect on our experience for you guys today in the podcast. Today's quirk of classic car ownership is mostly related to shows, and specifically the phenomenon of the bonnet opening. And it's something that shows that I've attended for many years has fascinated me, but I was particularly pleased worked well for me at this show. But it's that moment where when a bonnet opens, loads of people just appear and have a peer in and a nosy, and Jamie actually experienced someone today specifically asking for him to open the bonnet so that they could have a look inside to see what kind of things were different, which things were standard, which was a really interesting experience, and actually one of the first times that's happened to me in my ownership. So it was really nice to start to see people kind of getting interested in Peggy's engine. So we found out about the MMOC Picnic through the club magazine, but it was pretty well advertised on Facebook and things like that, so we were attending on the Facebook event as well. But it was a club event. They made a big thing of it not being their national annual rally, and that wasn't what was happening this year, but a smaller event where there was still the option to camp for the weekend, and then on the Sunday just a small kind of picnicky event on the grounds with a beautiful view of Kelmarsh, and the opportunity to kind of walk around the grounds and things like that as well as kind of see all the other cars that had attended. We didn't camp or anything because we live really quite local. It only took us about an hour and 20 minutes to get there, and that was with a brief stop for overheating. And we were the third car kind of on the field. Lots of the people that had been camping were still kind of probably waking up and thinking about making their way over to the kind of other edge of the field where we were all sitting. And so we were pretty early, but even so, we spent a few minutes in our car getting ourselves sorted and ready. And the minute that we got out of the car, the lovely people in the car next to us were really keen to talk to us and tell us about their car, and presented me with one of my favourite things, which is restoration pictures. They told me this fantastic story about how their car was their granddad's very first car, and that he'd held on to it all this time and tried to kind of restore it over 27 years, and they finally got it back on the road in 2018. And restoration pictures are just such a cool thing to look through. So immediately any of my kind of worries about not knowing anyone and worrying about whether we'd get to fit in or if we'd have enough to talk about with people were immediately put to the side by having this wonderful conversation with these people. After that, we kind of started to mooch around a few of the cars as they were starting to filter in, and it was really interesting to walk around and speak to a few of the different owners, but also spot the differences between slight variations that happened between the years with Morris Minors. I'll admit, having been to shows for kind of a whole mark of car in the past, I was thinking, oh well, it's a show for just one model. Like, how much is there going to be for us to look at and enjoy? And I was fully convinced that we would have plenty of time today to go up to the hall and have a look around the hall and have a look around the gardens. But it was really interesting, and we spent a lot of time looking between the cars and thinking, okay, well, that's different between that one and that's different between this one. And it was really enjoyable. And then as we were walking round, we got to meet Steph and friends from iDriver Classic, and it was really fantastic to meet them, and she's so lovely, and we had a really good chat, and she interviewed me for her YouTube channel when she does her video on the event. And so that's going to be something that I'm really looking forward to seeing. I'm probably sending to all my friends. I'm really excited to meet them and have a chat and see her cars, and Joe's cars, and Richard and Ian. And then we carried on walking around and got to meet some more fantastic people. We met some other people that were pandemic car purchasers, which was nice to share in that feeling of, we haven't been to a show and it's so exciting to be here, and really good to start to meet other people. And interestingly, we all had Trafalgar blue cars from the same year as well, so it was quite an interesting discussion to kind of talk about this, even the slight differences that we found between ours. We also, as we were wandering around, met up with Beth, who is the Young Members Registrar. She'd been in contact before the show, and it was really great to put a face to a name and meet her partner Liam and her adorable dog Basil, who was brilliant. He jumped straight out of the car, rolled onto his back and wanted some belly rubs, and it was fantastic to meet up with them. And it was really good to kind of talk to some more young people about car ownership. And later on in the day, we had a real good talk around Peggy's open bonnet with Beth and Liam and a few other young members, to try and work out a few things that we'd noticed and try and deal with the overheating issue that we'd experienced on the way over. And we think we've kind of nailed that one down. We've certainly had less of an issue on this drive back, only pulling over to try and find a bit of food on our way home, and to just write a couple of quick notes for us to record this today. We met some local people to us at home as well, so we're really looking forward to hopefully spending some time with them, and possibly even setting up a little bit of a local club to be able to go out on local runs and things like that, and really fill our weekends even more. And talking to all these people, it was really great to be able to learn a lot more about Peggy. So not only were we kind of comparing all the cars that were on show with each other, but we were also thinking, well, that's slightly different to Peggy, or this is ever so slightly different to Peggy. And we kind of got a lot of answers about that when we had that big chat around Peggy's open bonnet towards the end of the event. Obviously we already knew, thanks to the emails, about her racing manifold, but it turns out that her carb is also slightly bigger, and therefore designed for her to go a little bit faster, and her exhaust is as well. So really Peggy should be quite rapid for a Morris Minor, and that maybe I've been driving her a little bit too carefully as well. We also found out something that I was quite surprised on, but Peggy's like window bezels here are it's chrome, and I hadn't really thought anything of it, but as we somebody pointed out to us that actually a lot of the saloons are just kind of the paint colour, and that it's really the travellers that have these chrome edges, and that her windows have probably been replaced with that, and it really makes for quite a different look compared to some of the other cars from her same period and things like that. For example, we actually found a car that was registered on the exact same day with her, with a very similar number plate, and managed to get a photo with them, which was really nice to kind of talk about and compare some of the differences. And the chrome windows was something that I probably would never have spotted myself, but when someone pointed it out, it was really interesting to realise that somebody had made the decision at some point in her history to make that change. So all in all, we had a really lovely day. It was really a very useful experience for us, being such new members, to get to know some people, get to talk to some people. We didn't have time to go and look at the gardens and the house, because we really were so engulfed in talking to people and learning as much kind of about the cars, and as much as we could about maintaining and making sure that Peggy was running right. And it was a really valuable experience. So many people made a big point to tell me today, oh, it's your first show. Well, it's not normally like this. There's normally so much more going on, and I'm sure that in future years we'll definitely look forward to all that's going on. But actually, to be able to just talk to everyone and have an opportunity, even though it was cold and not that sunny and summery today, to talk to everyone and learn a bit more about ownership and get to meet some people and learn that, you know, not to worry about some things but what to worry about. And it's certainly set us up for probably quite a busy summer, because so many people were telling us about so many interesting shows that we wanted to get involved in, and also potentially set us up for Jamie, my partner, being interested in a Morris Marina, which would be, you know, just brilliant. We could go along to all these shows together once he's passed his test as well in our two cars. So I'd like to finish this podcast episode by thanking anyone who kind of came and spoke to me and had a chat with me. It was really lovely to meet some people, and for everyone who kind of offered advice and things like that, I'm really so grateful. It's been a fantastic first club meet experience. I'm looking forward to the rest of them this summer, and I'd love to hear if you were there, what your favourite things about the day were, and what other shows you're going to this summer. Thanks so much for listening. Happy motoring and drive safely.